Welcome, beloved masters. Welcome once again into this sacred space, into the sacred container, where we join together once again, heart to heart, soul to soul. I invite you now, beloved master, just to sit with me here for a moment and allow yourself to be here in this gift of the present moment, as it were, as it is. For this moment is truly the only moment that exists here and now. And when we are fully present in the now moment, we have access to so much more. We have access to all that wants to present itself to you in the present moment. So in unity, in oneness now, as we connect in unity, heart to heart, soul to soul, we allow ourselves the gift of presence here and now. And for many of us, we might have been so inwardly or outwardly busy over the last few days, whether it is the actual going-ons of your day-to-day ins and outs, your activities. Perhaps it is the mental chatter, the analyzations, the narratives and stories within the mind. Perhaps it is just being busy doing, being in action, progressing forward. Utilize this moment right here, right now, as a moment to become really still and spacious and soft. Take this moment to rest within as we bring forward this short transmission this morning. And so, as many of you know, if you've watched the previous introduction video and listened to the previous vocal transmissions, and perhaps the members' initiation and process in terms of anchoring in your next highest timeline, you will understand that many of us have moved into different, more expanded, higher timelines on our individual pathways. As I tuned in a few days ago, it was very apparent to me that what now is being brought forward energetically, if this message finds you, and if this transmission finds you, and if this teachings find you, then there's a resonance for you within these teachings, meaning that there is a benefit for you within these teachings. There's something that you can take away from this. It means that there is some level of alignment with what is being brought forward and what is transpiring within your own individual lives at this point in time, and what might still be progressing or happening for you over the coming days and weeks ahead. And so, as I've mentioned, over the last few days, I tuned in and I got this energetic update in terms of what is happening right now energetically and what many might be moving into over the next coming days and weeks ahead. And it is the idea of and the frequency of unity consciousness. And so this, once again, is a very broad theme, right? But I'm going to break it down just a little bit so that it makes some logical sense for you in terms of relating it into your own personal lives. Unity consciousness or oneness, right? It is a state of being, of embodiment that far surpasses theory or even just realization. And so we're not just referring to recognizing the unity consciousness or the oneness between you and others or you and yourself. not just the recognition of it, but the embodiment of it. It is the idea that the messenger ultimately becomes the message. The messenger becomes the message. It is not the recognition or the realization of truth, but the embodiment of truth. You becoming truth itself. You becoming the embodiment of unity consciousness or oneness itself. Do you feel the difference in state of being versus the recognition or the realization of something versus the embodiment of something? When you are the embodiment of something, there is no sense of separation, right? There's no sense of separation between you and that idea or that thing. This is ultimately what your individual journey is, your life curriculum, all the experiences that you've had, all the lessons you've learned, all the coming homes and the deaths and rebirths that you've had has been leading you to your ultimate state of embodiment, to your greatest potential made manifest in form. And it is not that you are here being your purpose being you being the messenger necessarily. It might have started off from that perspective, you being the messenger or the guide. It is asking you now to not only become the messenger, the one that brings forward theory or truth through your expression, but it is asking for you to now become the embodiment of your message, for the messenger to become the message, for the one that speaks of truth, of healing, of wisdom, of love, now become fully encompassed in that frequency, fully embodied as the frequency of that unity consciousness, that oneness, that inseparable frequency and stream of light that has always been, that exists and flows between each and everything and every person, everywhere, all the time. Even for me, I remember when I first started doing this work many, many years ago, and there was a part of myself, the sense of self, the personality Riana, that I needed to almost move out of the way in order for me to bring forward this transmission as a clear channel, as a clear vessel, right? And so ultimately, eventually, over time, as I began to be initiated into higher states of consciousness, that process of getting the small self out of the way in order to become a clear channel began to dissolve. And this meant that I needed to become a conscious, living embodiment, a living embodiment of the message, of the transmission that I was bringing through. That it wasn't just something I needed to do in the moment and get out of the way so that I can bring it through, but I needed to make it my permanent state of being. Why? Because it is my natural state of being. Becoming one with the essence of who you are internally, but also one with all that is all around you. I mentioned it in one of my previous vocal transmissions. I believe it's called mastery. And I speak about the messenger becomes the message. And I'm sure that it resonates very deeply for many of you listening to this right now, because if you look back on your individual life path and life curriculum, all of the shadows you've needed to move through, all of the lessons and experiences of contraction that you have moved through, all of the deaths and rebirths, all of the spiritual ascension journeys, inward, outward, all of those experiences that has brought you to this very moment, right here, right now, in this present space and place. All of that has allowed you to cultivate, realize, and embody within you more of your authentic light expression, divinity, power, truth, right? You're not the same person you were back then. Are you not? You are more of who you truly are right now. How much more deeply can we let go? How much more deeply can we allow? How much more greatly can we allow ourselves to be a conscious, embodied channel of pure divine love, light, truth, and darkness? It's all encompassing, right? It's all encompassing. The recognition of unity consciousness and oneness is different from the embodiment of unity conscious and oneness. The messenger becomes the message, becoming that living, breathing, conscious expression of the one distilled truth within. My upcoming vocal album, I was guided to name the album One, the Revelation. For ultimately becoming the one, realizing yourself as the one, and embodying the one is the ultimate revelation of all of our individual journeys and our collective journey. I want to speak a little bit to how this initiation of unity consciousness might play out very differently for every single individual, depending on your personal path, your life, your life's curriculum, or your life path. And so what I'm seeing that for many, how the symptoms of this, how this might arise is through where we might still be holding on to or accommodating the judgments and the criticisms of others. Judgments, beliefs, and criticism that we've taken on from our experiences with others over the years. And so what I'm seeing energetically within the mind space is I'm seeing almost like a labyrinth or a maze that sometimes can take up a lot of the spaciousness within this crown area, third eye crown area. And so over the current days and going forward, there is an emptying out or dissolution of the beliefs, of the judgments, of the criticisms that have stuck over the years and have taken up space within the labyrinth of your mind. There's an emptying out of that is occurring now. And so for many, it might feel at times as if you feel weird, or perhaps you feel lost, like you don't know who you are anymore, like perhaps suddenly out of the blue, something that someone says affects you really, really deeply. Someone says something about you that affects you really deeply. Perhaps there's a sudden increase in the way that you are grasping for acknowledgement or validation from others to gain a sense of worthiness once more. But you recognize that this seems a little bit out of the ordinary for you. These are the influxes and the outfluxes that will occur as you clear out the labyrinth of the mind and you move into a spaciousness where you become one with yourself at a very, very higher level, higher dimensional capacity. Beloved Master, these moments of confusion, of lostness, of feeling triggered by experiences or events or people or words or judgments or criticisms or beliefs are only but temporary. We say to you that you are being supported and you're being guided and that you are completely on track within your individual life path. You are expanding beyond the confines of the physical human mind in order to begin embodying a sense of self that is completely one with the one distilled light, with that one Christed light, with that one source consciousness. You becoming the complete embodiment of truth, that one distilled truth. You becoming the one, not just realizing yourself as the one or recognizing yourself and others as the one, but being the walking embodiment of the one, as the one. This journey is not just about having a collection of statements, collection of truths that we accumulate over time. It is about becoming that truth through your embodiment, through and through. And so naturally, as I've mentioned earlier about my own path, my small self got to a point of subjugating its small will to the will of the divine and completely dissolved and surrendered to that higher power within. Unity consciousness, oneness, is experiencing undifferentiated union with truth, with love, with the one light. For many people, I'm feeling that the layers of worthiness might be triggered or has been triggered recently or will be triggered over the coming days in terms of, as I've mentioned, the judgments, criticisms, beliefs of others or mirrored reflections of others in terms of your own worth and significance. And this is so perfectly designed this way because it is asking you to clear out the labyrinth of the mind in terms of those judgments, those criticisms, those beliefs and those projections, so that you can ultimately not just recognize your worth, but become one with your worth. For then there is no need to grasp for that recognition, for that validation. Then there's no longer that need to feel inferior or superior that stems from a sense of separation within. It's like a hunger within that we constantly try to fill. We constantly try to feed by filling it up, by grasping at the next thing that we feel will fill it up. But that only lasts temporarily, doesn't it? And then the hunger returns. That hunger can only fully be filled and fed fully if that perceived separation from our source, from our true essence, is not only realized, but is beginning to be embodied. This is what is being called forth from you now. This is what you are being initiated into. So as you move through the coming days and weeks where these small experiences tend to come up for you, bring your awareness to the realization of what is actually transpiring here for you. That it is initiating you into a greater embodiment of your oneness with all of creation, of your oneness with worth, of your oneness with truth, of your oneness with the divine. It is a complete coming home to yourself, not just in theory, not just in realization or recognition, but in embodiment, where the messenger not only realizes itself as the message, but is the embodiment of the message, where we are not just a collection of statements and truths and beliefs, but the embodiment of those truths, of that one distilled truth that lives deeply within the core of our being. How will you know that you are embodying oneness? When there's no more level of distinction or differentiation. Because remember, beloved, when you are one with something, you are it. So you cannot even perceive the difference. There's no level of external awareness as to, oh, I'm experiencing oneness right now. Because you are one with it. There's only that view, there's only that embodiment. The journey of perceived oneness and unity ultimately disappears when you become one with it. Therefore, the initial experience of oneness ultimately disappears because you are now the embodiment of it. The messenger becomes the message, right? It is God embracing its own godly nature. It is truth embracing truth. It is love embracing love. No separation or distinction whatsoever. And so too will it ripple out into the different avenues of your life, your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, your relationship with others. Because we realize that consciousness is everything, everywhere, all the time. It is what unifies and reunites yourself with yourself. It is the unending stream of unity, for consciousness has no sense of separation. Beloved Master, whatever is and have been and will be transpiring for you as you elevate, as you come home to yourself in a deeper and a greater way, know this, that you are deeply, deeply supported. The upcoming vocal transmissions, the upcoming album will be a very powerful supportive tool that you can use and aid in holding you and supporting you as you transition through your individual initiations and phases. It is subtle yet powerful, but it will be covering many of the layers of this unity consciousness initiation, this oneness initiation. And so I'm excited to be beginning to bring that forward for all of you. It will be uploaded within the Music Sanctum. It will also be uploaded onto our YouTube channel for all to experience as you will. And then we will most likely, in addition to this transmission, I'm going to bring forward a unity consciousness or oneness initiation transmission again over the next couple of weeks, as I'm called to do so and guided to do so. As we know, everything with me is very intuitive. It's not planned. And so even this transmission, I didn't plan on doing this, but I felt very deeply guided to bring this forward. And so if this finds you, if you receive this, beloved Master, may it serve you in the most profound and most miraculous ways. Um, before we close, let's just sit here for a moment and allow ourselves to be in the space of spaciousness and stillness right now. It feels like there's a sense of stillness within, a grounding and anchoring into the still point within that is needed for many right now in this moment. And it's not just experiencing the stillness within, but the stillness is activating a recalibration within the mind, heart, body, being, and spirit. There's a recalibration occurring now based on what we've received, recalibrating the being and almost preparing us to take flight, preparing us to move forward, preparing us to leap, preparing us to elevate, and move us into the next transmissions that will come and on our individual journeys. So taking a moment now, bringing awareness to the present moment as we are. Beloved Masters, we love you, we honor you, and we thank you for being here with us in this moment. Until next time.